So you finally got into the art university, or you just chose to become an aesthetic person all of a sudden. So to complete your look, you had to get one of these. And now you don't know what you're doing. Lucky for you, today I'm gonna teach you the basics of videography and photography. So hopefully you know what you're doing after this video. So first things first, if you have a digital camera like I'm using the one for recording right now, switch that boy up into manual because you don't want to be cringe in using automatic like all the noob photographers. Second step, let's get to shutter speed, right? We're gonna go over three things: shutter speed, ISO, and what's the third thing? Oh yeah, f-stop, aperture, whatever. So basically, any camera, new, old, telephone, or like digital camera, has these three things. You can see them. You can see the shutter speed here on this mark: 1/4 of a second, 1/18th of a second, 1/15th of a second, and so on. So what does the shutter speed do? Imagine there's like a door in this camera behind the lens, right? So it basically dictates how fast the camera is gonna snap the photo. You can think of it like a door, so the faster the speed is, the faster that door is gonna like open and close. That's what the shutter speed is. I'm gonna try to demonstrate this on my camera here and now. If you look closely inside this lens, you'll see that there's like some metal plates, and when I click, they open, as you can see, and they're staying open right now because I'm on this, I forgot what this is. It's like the B stands for, it's gonna hold for as long as you want it to be open. This is for long exposure, but that doesn't need to concern you right now. What I'm trying to show is when I release, you see the doors close back. So that is basically what shutter speed is. If I put it into 1/15th of a second, you'll see for a split second here, it opens and closes. How does it affect your photos? All of these three things, they control the amount of light your photo captures. So the slower the shutter speed is, more light comes in. The faster the shutter speed, less light comes in. But there's also a second thing that it controls, and that's the blurriness. Now I'm gonna demonstrate this on the camera right now. So right now on the camera that I'm recording, the shutter speed is 1/50th of a second. And when I wave my hand, you can see how kind of it's blurry, and this is a good effect for videography because mainly you want to copy the way our eyes perceive the world, and that's usually this. We have like, if you put your hand right now in front of your face and you wave it, you'll see that there is an amount of blurriness that you don't capture every frame. Now I'm gonna pump up the shutter speed, you're gonna see the difference. Okay, now I pumped up the shutter speed to what is this? Wait, I don't know how to read this number. 1025th of a second. Very high shutter speed, and I had to pump up the ISO so it can match the lightness. And as you can see, the video is a lot more choppy. Like you can see how you can almost see every frame because the shutter speed is very quick while it's recording and it's capturing my momentum of the fingers. It looks very weird, so yeah. How do I know which shutter speed to use? There's no really right or wrong answer. Mainly, if you're trying to capture some momentum and like you have a subject that is moving across the frame, I use a slower shutter speed and capture that so the background is like blurry and the subject is in focus. If something is passing quickly by you and you want to capture the moment, you can maybe pump up the shutter speed. So for example, on my bigger lens, I use like a higher shutter speed because it doesn't have stabilization, so sometimes photos can turn out blurry. So if your photos are turning a lot of them blurry and shaky, you can pump up the shutter speed but also control your focus. Second thing, let's go. ISO. Firstly, as always, it controls how much light there is in your photo, and second of all, it controls the graininess. So what I mean by this, the more ISO, the more grainy your videos and your photos will look like. Okay, so there's gonna be like dots, like it's low quality basically. Usually you can see this on like telephones, that when you capture photos in dark, there's like all those dots and stuff that you don't want. That's because the phone pumps up the ISO. If you didn't think there are these things like the ISO, the shutter speed, and the aperture in the phones, they're just controlling it usually automatic. You don't control it manually. So anyways, let me demonstrate. Okay, I had to pump up the shutter speed to even to an abnormal amount, but you can see the difference in the quality of the video now. I have ISO set to an enormous amount, which is 12,800. So the same question goes, how to know which ISO to put. Usually you want to adjust the shutter speed first and the aperture, and then the third thing is ISO. Try to keep it as low as you can. You're gonna adjust the shutter speed and the aperture first, and then based on that you're gonna tweak the ISO so you can make the image visible. and try to keep it as low as you can. If you gotta pump it up, but usually I don't go like above 6,000, even 3,000 is like a lot, so yeah. In the older kind of cameras like this one, ISO came with the films. As you can see, the ASA, it's the same thing as ISO. Right now I think it's set to 100. You don't usually set this, but you buy the film that you want to shoot. So if you wanted to shoot during the day, you buy like an ISO 100 film, and if you wanted to shoot during the night, maybe you would buy like a 3200 ISO or like 1600 ISO, and then you set it here on the camera, and then you put the film inside this thing. So basically on the newer digital cameras we have sensors, we don't have film like in these analog cameras, and we can control the ISO manually. Okay, let's go over the third thing, and that is aperture. So aperture, first of all, as usual, as all other things, it controls the amount of light in your photos, but second of all, it gives you that blurry effect. What I mean by this is like, you know, that like iPhone portrait mode or whatever, where you get like one thing in focus and like the rest is blurry. It's kind of like when I put my hand like this, you can see how my face in the back is blurry. That is because of the f-stop, or the aperture as we call it. So the aperture right now set is 5.0. What it does, basically, the less f, if the number is lower, you get more of this effect where something is in the focus and something in the back isn't. So the more f, so maybe like f22, which is a lot, like crazy a lot, will have more of like things in focus, okay? So basically that's the main thing f controls. And how does it control the lighting in your photo? The lower the number f is, so maybe like 1.8 f, will give you more light, and the bigger number, f22 for example, will give you less light. So that's basically the thing. When you're buying lenses and stuff, you usually want to buy the ones that have lower f, because they're more quality. You're gonna get more like the bokeh. This is called the bokeh effect. When you have something in focus and something outside of focus, you're gonna learn how to control these things by practice. Only practice. You gotta go outside. You can keep in mind the things that I told you, the advice and tips on how to know what shutter speed and other things to set up, but mainly you gotta go outside, take photos, and you're gonna see for yourself what works, what doesn't work. So yeah, I hope this video helped you, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.